Hey there, Broniacs. Welcome back to Bronze Over Brains. I'm your man, Bronson Layton, of course, and guys, it is great to see you as usual. I figure today what we're going to be doing is I'm going to show you how to make a Mississippi pot roast, which is very similar to making a traditional roast, only the difference is with a Mississippi pot roast, it has a zestier, more tangier kind of taste compared to the traditional roast. And it's very straightforward. There are a few basic ingredients that are needed to cook this roast, and all you need really equipment-wise is a crock pot. So, without further ado, let's jump into how to make a Mississippi pot roast Bronze Over Brains style. Okay, so the first step in preparing a Mississippi pot roast is knowing your ingredients. So we're going to start with listing down the essential ingredients that we'll need for this particular dish. First and foremost, and most importantly, you need the roast itself. Try to find you a beef round eye roast, and we picked out this particular one right here. And if you look on the back, there's like lots of marble on it, so I'm just getting hungry talking about it, and so you get you a good one of these right here. You'll also need 1 packet of ranch seasoning, 1 pack of Au Jus gravy mix, some peperoncini, and 1 whole stick of butter. These are the ingredients that you'll need in order to prepare this dish. Like I said in the intro, there are very few ingredients that you'll need for this, and it's going to be very quick to make. Oh, by the way, on a side note about the eye roast that I just mentioned, you can either get one of those, or you could choose for this dish to cook a whole brisket in the crock pot. My fiance and I, we got a brisket for a good deal one time at Sam's Club, and the brisket was like exceeding our expectations far beyond what we could comprehend. But this is chef's choice. You could either use the eye roast that I just showed you, or you could use a whole brisket. Either one doesn't matter. And so let's get into the cooking process. So to be clear, yeah, you need to prepare this whole thing in a crock pot, and as you can notice right here, you need to cook a Mississippi pot roast in a cook liner, because let me tell you, this is not like preparing a sauce or anything like that in a crock pot. This is like solid food that needs to be contained in one of these liners. So you need to put one of these and secure it within the bowl right here. Make sure everything is tucked in here right. And you guys might notice, yeah, we have a Pioneer Woman crock pot for this occasion. And just look at that, that's enough space for one big meal. Speaking of which, let's see, we got the roast already positioned in there. Which, oh, by the way, before handling the roast and taking it out and putting it into the crock pot, make sure to always wash your hands. That's a general rule of thumb right there, which, by the way, this is a wash thumb. One other thing I should mention, Broniacs, when you buy this roast right here, the roast itself, make sure that immediately when you get home, you put it in the freezer. Like, I'm serious. Immediately put it in the freezer, because these roasts are liable to expire very quickly if they're just put into the fridge and left in there for days on end. So it would be best to keep it frozen until the night before you want to make this roast. So the night before, make sure you take it out of the freezer, and then put it in the refrigerator for it to thaw out. That way, when you're ready to cook it and have it placed in the crock pot, it'll get a little thinner, I guess you could say, a little softer, and it will slow roast more quickly, more efficiently. And so let's get back to the cooking process. Okay, so the roast is properly placed in here. We don't have this thing plugged in quite yet. Step number 2 is to apply the ranch seasoning. Make sure you cover it very thoroughly, like as thoroughly as you possibly can. Get over the back over there. Squeeze all that seasoning out. All right, it's looking good so far. Okay, step number 3 is to apply the Au Jus gravy mix. So same thing, you want to make sure you thoroughly cover the entire roast with this stuff. Same with the ranch seasoning, because believe me, in the long run, you will want every square inch of this roast covered with your major ingredients. Okay, so the next step will be the peperoncini. Okay, this is the part, Broniacs, where it gets very creative. There is no actual official rule that says exactly how many pepperoncinis you should put in here, but of course you don't want to put in this entire 32-ounce jar of pepperoncinis in there. That would like oversaturate it with spiciness. But I did say you can be creative with this, so let's see. I'm gonna put 1, 2, 3. I got a baby one here. 4. Got 5, 6, 7, 8. I think 9 will do good right there. Oh, and for good measure, I'm gonna put a 10th one on top right there. See, this is one of those cooking suggestions, Broniacs, when a chef would tell you just measure with your heart. Just put in there as many as you feel like you would need in there. So in my case right here, I wanted to circle around the entire crock pot just to make sure that every area of the crock pot can get seasoned with the flavor of the pepperoncini. Because what comes next, Broniacs, is you want to pour in some delicious pepperoncini juice into the mix, and particularly you want to cover the top of this roast. Go all around, but particularly on top. Okay, oh, a little back there. There we go. That should do it. That should do it right there. All right, there we go. And so the last ingredient we're going to add into this roast is the entire stick of butter. Go and place it gingerly on top of the roast, right there. Now see, look at that. Isn't that a thing of beauty? Okay, so now that we have the entire roast assembled, seasoned, and buttered, what we're going to do now is we're going to plug in the crock pot. We're going to place the top lid over it. And now we got to set the temperature and how long we want it to cook. So, heavy suggestion, you want to cook it low. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this for a 6-hour roast. See how good it will turn out progressively as time goes by. Over time, that butter will gradually melt. It'll spread all over the roast, and I will show you what we will do next after some time goes by and as it keeps cooking. And so I'm setting my timer. It is officially 1 o'clock where I am, and all right, we'll come back to this in a couple hours or so and see how it's doing. Okay, Broniacs, It's been about 2.5 hours since I turned on the crock pot. The time's looking good. Temperature's looking all right. Now we're gonna check under the hood, so to speak. That butter is still just about melted. So I think what I'm about to do in 30 minutes, yeah, I'll give this another 30 minutes to continue melting. And then I'm gonna flip this whole thing over. So we'll come back in another half hour. Okay guys, it's been over 30 minutes and now let's see how we're doing. Okay, there we go. There we go. That butter is really melted right now. Oh guys, I wish you could smell what I'm smelling right now. And so what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna take a barbecue fork and I'm gonna flip this over, but given the weight of this thing, it's hard for me to do while holding the camera at the same time. So the general idea here is to make sure that you find a way to flip the whole thing over, not the entire crock pot. No. Just find a way to take the whole roast and flip it face down, so to speak, so that this buttery side could be facing down and the bottom end will be facing up and it can have some air applied to its layer of meat. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and flip it over. So this is what the roast now looks like. I got it flipped over and I was right. That thing felt like 5 pounds and I really could not do that while filming. So yeah, if you notice all that marble that I showed you in the beginning, it is getting very cooked right now and I really cannot wait to sample this. And so the goal here is to keep it cooking for a little while longer, maybe another hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. See that the entire roast, all of its layers can be thoroughly cooked, because you don't want to accidentally eat undercooked meat like this. And I'm telling you, it does take a while for this whole thing to cook, but believe me guys, this is worth the wait. So I'm just gonna let this keep cooking for maybe the remainder of the timer right here, another couple of hours, maybe 3 at most. The thing is, when I picked this thing up with the barbecue fork, the meat still felt kind of thick, like incredibly thick, where you don't want to eat it yet and it might have traces of coldness on the inside. So yeah, the best thing to do is to keep it slow cooking for a while, like an extra 2 hours or so, just until you can get to the point where the roast has meat falling off very easily. Like you could take a fork and stab into it and the meat would fall off like right off the bone. On a side note, Broniacs, if you are looking for a particular side dish to go with this roast, my best recommendation would be mashed potatoes. You can pretty much have anything you want with this roast, but I highly recommend making mashed potatoes with this because, oh man, what more can I say out of that? It's just a good combination when the juice from this roast just blends in to the mashed potatoes that you cooked, whether they be homemade or packaged from a box. Just highly recommend it. And so this is a few hours later, but this is the end result of what a Mississippi pot roast would look like once it's finished. In our case, we got some green beans and loaded mashed potatoes to go with it. Bon appetit. And so that is how you make Mississippi pot roast. Again, I really suggest trying to make this meal because it's, I wouldn't say it's quick and easy. It's easy, but it does take a while to really get it cooked because for one thing, it's in a crock pot and it's a thick layer of meat. Overall, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you are interested in trying to make this dinner item yourselves because I, for one, really enjoyed it when I first started making it. My fiance and I, we started making it around when the COVID-19 pandemic started, and we've been making it for every occasion since, and it never disappoints. The only thing that I hate about it is that it takes so dang long to prepare and fully cook. And on one final note, Broniacs, I should have mentioned that the roast I bought, it's so big that it's enough for like 2 dinners worth. I think Savannah and I are gonna have it tonight and tomorrow night. So if you plan to eat this pot roast, be prepared to eat it for more than one meal, because really the whole thing is bigger than maybe about a dozen hamburger patties. And again, I hope you all enjoyed this video. I'm gonna leave the recipe in the description of this video if you need a reminder on the ingredients and the steps for making it. And yeah, hopefully I'll upload some more cooking videos in the future, see what I can come up with. But until next time, Broniacs, this is Bronze Over Brains. I'm Bronson Layton, always reminding you to stay brawny. See you guys later.